Hey guys, so this is like the instruction set on how I've been doing these meditations. I've been, in communication with my body for a long time, and so you might experience this a little bit different. But the way that I do it, that I've been doing these specific clearings is, so when I meditate, I will be using my fingers because we're going to be anchoring the meridian points, and we're also going to be asking our body like which dimensional where is it, which dimension and which body is this block at. And so you'll have the piece of paper in front of you so you can look at that, but just so that you familiarize yourself with your body. You can also use a pendulum if you want, but I suggest that you just do it this way because this way you start to develop a deeper connection with your body. So you have the first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, seventh dimension, eighth dimension, ninth dimension, and 10th dimension, okay? And then 11 and 12 just run up and down parallel. And so if you look at the diagram, and then you can also just memorize this in your head, and it's not that hard. Your body will just get it because it's almost like instinctive. And you say, okay, you're going down the list, and you're like, okay, please identify, locate, remove, and repair negative ET, let's say, eggs and parasites, okay? So which dimension, you can either say which triad body if you want to lump them together. I just like to say which body, which dimension, right? And so you will feel it. You can either go one by one and ask is it at the first dimension? And then you sort of feel into your first finger and feel into the meridians of that body, and you can check, is it in the first dimension? If you don't feel any energy, or if you don't feel any blockages, then it's not in the first dimension. Then you can go to the second dimension. Is it in the second dimension? And you can just do it that way at first if you want. You can do whatever you want, just develop your own method, but that's kind of slow. You can also just say which body is it at, and then immediately set it up with your body that it will tell you. So for eggs and parasites of negative alien implants or anything like that, okay? 7th dimension. Okay, so then you get it. And then it's at the 7th dimensional layer. And if your finger starts to twitch at that level, then that's where you intend for it to be cleared. You can also just do this in general and say for any of my bodies, from the 1st dimension to the 11th dimension, because we're assuming that the 12th dimension is your Christed avatar self, so it doesn't need any clearing. So from the 1st dimension to the 11th dimension, clear those bodies, right? And you can intend for the reading to just be general like that. If you want to get more information about each specific block that you have, you can dive deeply into it. So say that you get an impulse at the 8th dimension, okay? So you know where the 8th dimension is. You're also looking at the 12 tree grid diagram around your body. You can also be doing this around the planetary work. So you'll be looking at the planet. If you're doing stuff on the planetary level, you look at where it is on the planet, and you intend that your higher self and intuition tell you on your fingers where on the planetary body it is, and then that's the spot that you clear. You can also intend this for the universal and the galactic bodies, and so that's kind of how I've been clearing everything. If you intend for it to all be done at the personal body, then you go to the planetary, then you go to the galactic, then you go to the universal. You can do it like that. I really think that for some things you do need to pay more attention to the extra information that you're going to get about it, because if you actually focus deeply, you'll see that your body will take you to that place, and you'll get the images, the memories. You'll get more of an understanding of what happened exactly at that level for you to take on those blocks or those implants and whatever was there. And so you'll be able to more compassionately and more deeply understand yourself, and so it provides more of a thorough type of healing. You can also just do it really quickly and generally if that's what you prefer. And yeah, I think that's it. And when we clear, obviously you want to pause ideally in between until you feel you can continue with the meditation, or you can continue with the clearing and it feels like the energy has sort of stopped moving. You'll feel the energy stir, be active, and then it'll sort of just stop or come to a pause, and you can either ask can I keep going, or you just know, and then you just keep going. And you could just play it if you just want to do set the intention for clearing all of these things within the personal body, and you can do it that way. And then go back on your own as you get more familiarized, because at least your higher self will get that you are trying and intending to clear all of these, even if you're not ready for the actual to play that movie or that memory inside of you. At least you have that intention, and so it sets up all of those steps for you to clear it. So here's a way for you to visualize the horror lines running through your body. Again, it corresponds to your fingers, and so when you're asking if there's an implant or some sort of blockage at that particular, at any body, and you get an impulse, try to follow that all the way around through your entire horror line. Each horror line corresponds to a finger, to a dimension, and to one of your 12 bodies. So this is a picture of your horizontal triad bodies, and it's just a way that you can think of the light body. So you would have in the first horizontal triad, you would have the first dimensional, second dimensional, and third dimensional body. And then in the second horizontal triad, you'd have the 4D, 5D, 6D. Third horizontal triad body, you'd have the 7, 8, 9D, and then the fourth horizontal triad would include they kind of overlap, and they're not just like at one place, they're all over your entire body, but this is one way that you can think of them, so that when you're asking, if you want to ask in that way and you want to group them to just however it is more simple to you. If you want to say, is it in the first horizontal triad, second, third, fourth, then, and if you get a hit, then you're like, okay, that's where it is, which finger, which dimension, or, which body. So you can try it out that way too, whatever is easiest for you and whatever way you can communicate with your body the best. But as you can see, they're all around your body. The 10, 11, and 12D are part of the horizontal triad body that also makes up part of your horizontal shield, the 12D shield that is around the earth, but it also goes up your horror line. And again, these are all around you constantly. They're not like separate, they're all together. And this is just a way for you to try to like visualize what they look like so that it makes more sense in your mind. This next picture is a picture that everybody has seen. It's a picture of the tree of life. It's a 12 tree grid with 12 spheres that are pretty much going to be like the new structure of your chakras in the next system. You'll see it on the smaller upper hand side. You'll see how it's got the small tree architecture, but it's still 12 spheres. And then this is what the 12 spheres would look like around the body using the 12 tree grid. I would say just go with what you feel internally about their exact location, because it might be different for you. Like I feel 6 and 7 a little bit more up towards the scapula, because I see them more as like the area where your wings go. And then 8 is still there, but it's a little bit different according to the diagram. So just feel it out for yourself. Always trust your heart instinct way more than anything else that you see. This next picture is the 12 tree grid, but it includes the planetary, galactic in the middle, and universal tree in that is the last one. While you're doing the clearings, if you feel like you need to look at something, take a screenshot, and then I would say use it as a screensaver so you know where everything is. And also if you want to take like individual screenshots of the little tree so you know exactly what we're talking about. For the first part of the meditation, I would say we're going to focus on the personal tree and all of the corresponding chakras. When you want to move on to the planetary, then look at the planetary tree, and then you do the same thing for the galactic and the universal tree. And then eventually you want to make sure that all of them are connected, system to system aligned and integrated for all of the trees, all of the 12 spheres, and all of them are connected, clear, and flowing from the 12-dimensional layer of your own personal being to all of its connections universally. The little white arrows are just from like when I took a screenshot on my phone of the picture. I got most of these from the internet, but some of them are from the energetic synthesis website from Lisa Renee, which you are allowed to use as long as you don't charge. And there's like a link that I'll post so that you know exactly where I got these from. There's obviously more complex systems that you can also add and integrate to this, but this is all you need, the very, very basics, in order to clear and do the meditations that I'm going to talk about. If you want more information, I'll probably post more videos, or feel free to look it up yourself. Another thing I'll say is that if you look online, you will see different chakra systems for the planet. And you have to remember that you were living on a sphere, right? So we'll say sphere. And so there's an inner point and then an outer point. And so when you're looking at the chakra system, remember that there's the other side, like the exact opposite side. Like similarly, if you were to stick a pin inside of like a globe, you would stick it in at one point and then it would come out the other side, right? So there's two sides to every point on the planet. Additionally, you'll see different ley lines and different points of interest all along the planetary body. And so you just have to keep in mind that there's many other areas on the planet that you can clear. There's already established grids. I just went with the Stargates because it's what I immediately felt drawn to clear, specifically because of the incoming energies and the rainbow spiral frequencies that I'm receiving, that I feel all of the Stargates needed to be cleared of all of the blocks, and they also needed to be cleared for the beings that are carrying the proper DNA structure to be able to go through them. So as I was clearing, I was additionally asking for the DNA strands at that level to be reconnected and cleared, and for any hybrids who were carrying that same DNA strand or that light strand to come online and to be reconnected, to be cleansed, to be cleared. So I have intended for the clearings to go very, very far, and to extend it to all beings who are carrying them, and for the ones who are hybridized into, like, say, very negative, heavy, karmically loaded races of beings, then I intended for them to be released of that, and for their karmic contracts to be renegotiated if those beings would accept to have a new contract made for them. And I asked for the guardians to do this with them and their higher selves, and a lot of them will agree, so that it's not just like you're taking away the DNA strands or the genetic material that they're made up of and then leaving them behind. You're not doing that. You're clearing the grids, you're clearing the negative karmic associations, and then for the beings that wish to have their DNA spark rewoven and given access to be able to go through the gates again, then they would have their contracts and their soul allowed to do so if they have to renegotiate with their higher self, but they are given that chance. So you're not like collapsing the timelines and leaving them the way that a lot of their we'll say like higher up draconics or different DNA hierarchies have done in the past. Like you're not just like that's also why there's so much clearing that needs to be done, because a lot of these beings have been left behind in dormant states or in dormant positions along different planetary gates, different power centers, and then they have nothing else to do. Like they've just sort of like been forgotten, and they're very upset or very angry sometimes. And so when you're doing all of these clearings, you're asking and praying for them to also be released of their position to block a particular gate or to cause chaos at a particular place in the world. And you're asking for their God spark to be rewoven so that they may also find the light. You're giving them the option of going back to their original dimension to be escorted by the proper astral guide, or you're giving them the option to go back to God directly or to renegotiate their contract, as I said before. So everyone is pretty much getting a happy ending with this. You're not taking anything away from anyone at all. If when you open up certain portals or dimensions, you start to see things, do not get scared. You are a child of God, and these beings can't do anything to you really besides like scare you and get you to stop or cause little delays in your everyday life. But you can clear those. Everything can be cleared, everything can be renegotiated, everything is possible with God's source if you align and if you have a sincere desire to realign yourself to the true divine blueprint as God intended. And again, if you're not sure about like what exactly to ask for when you're clearing these individually, just say as God intended, as true God source intends for this to be, like when you're opening up certain gates and certain portals and clearing specific DNA lines, even for hybrids, you want to say like, as God would have this be. So if you're opening up a gate and you're clearing it and you're recoding it and you're saying recode it as God would have it be, as God would prefer, and then seal it as God would prefer and code it so that the proper beings that are allowed and that should be allowed to enter and come and go let it be the ones that God wishes to have access to this gate. And if that is your general intention, then there's like nothing wrong. Like you can't misuse this power, because this is power that is coming from God for all of us. It's not leaving anything behind. It's renegotiating, realigning, reharmonizing everything so that it is so that every soul is able to have a pathway back towards God source, which is exactly what we're here to do, to create a path back to the divine. And we're not condemning anyone or anything. We're saying like that there's beings that don't deserve it or beings that are evil. It's just some beings have different have chosen different karmic paths and have different loads, but those can also be restructured if they so wish, and you're giving them that chance, and there's no reason why you can't do this.